We have a warrant to search this property. Step aside.
Okay, then show me the warrant.
We don't have to show you anything. We're executing a lawful search.
Actually, under the Fourth Amendment, you're required to present the warrant before entry.
Lady, you're interfering with a police investigation. That's a crime.
And conducting a warrantless search is a constitutional violation. That's a law.
She told them to choose carefully and choose quickly. Chris and Rebecca looked at Derek. Derek looked at the warrant in Jasmine's hands. Then he looked at the door behind her, knowing that whatever they might find inside wouldn't be worth federal prison. Derek made the smart choice for the first and possibly only time that morning. He told his team they were leaving. Jasmine said she would keep the original warrant as evidence. Derek tried to argue that they needed it. Jasmine reminded him that, as a federal prosecutor, she was seizing it as evidence of a potential federal crime. She suggested he have his sergeant contact her office if he had any questions about that. The three officers left. Jasmine closed the door, went back inside, and made a phone call to her supervisor at the U.S. Attorney's Office. Then she made another call to the FBI's Public Corruption Task Force. Then she made a third call to Internal Affairs at Philadelphia PD. By 8 a.m., 3 different investigations had been opened into Derek Mullins and his warrant application. By Monday morning, Derek had been placed on administrative leave. His warrant applications for the past 2 years were being reviewed by a team of federal agents and prosecutors. By Wednesday, the FBI had interviewed Judge Morrison, who was furious when she learned how her trust had been exploited. She provided a statement detailing what Derek had represented to her versus what was actually in the warrant application. By Friday, Derek Mullins was arrested on federal charges: 2 counts of deprivation of rights under color of law, 1 count of perjury in warrant application. Each count carried a potential 10-year sentence. Chris Santos and Rebecca Walsh were not charged criminally, but they were both suspended pending investigation. They ultimately resigned before the investigation concluded. The investigation didn't stop with Derek. Federal agents started pulling all the warrant applications from the narcotics unit for the past 3 years. They found a pattern: exaggerated probable cause, fabricated confidential informant information, vague descriptions of criminal activity, general warrants that violated the particularity requirement. They found 27 warrants that had similar problems to the one Derek had tried to execute at Jasmine's building. 27 potentially illegal searches. 27 cases that might have involved constitutional violations. Do you think entire police units should be held accountable when they have patterns like this? Let me know in the comments. Jasmine was assigned as the lead prosecutor on the case. She recused herself from being a witness since she was involved in the incident, but she could still prosecute the broader pattern of misconduct that the investigation had uncovered. The case took 9 months to build. Jasmine's team interviewed dozens of people who had been subject to searches by Derek's unit. They reviewed hundreds of warrant applications. They identified 12 other officers who had been involved in the questionable warrants. The scope expanded beyond just Derek Mullins. The entire narcotics unit was under investigation. The unit's supervisor, Lieutenant Thomas Brennan, was found to have approved many of the problematic warrants without adequate review. He was charged as well. Derek went to trial. He claimed he had acted in good faith, that he had genuinely believed there was probable cause, that any errors were honest mistakes. Jasmine dismantled his defense methodically. She showed the jury 12 different warrant applications where Derek had used nearly identical language to describe different confidential informants who allegedly didn't exist. She showed them how Derek's warrants always seemed to get approved on Friday afternoons when judges were busy. She showed them a pattern of targets being predominantly Black and Latino residents in specific neighborhoods. She called witnesses who testified about how Derek's team had entered their homes, found nothing, and left without apology. Most of those witnesses were Black and Latino residents who lived in neighborhoods that Derek's unit targeted disproportionately. She called a retired magistrate judge who explained exactly what information judges rely on when approving warrants, and how Derek's misrepresentations had corrupted that process. The trial lasted 3 weeks. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. They found Derek Mullins guilty on all counts.